it's Nicole. Welcome back to the channel. So continuing in what is now a new series on this channel, I am sharing my favorite China Glaze nail polishes. I feel like for those of you who've been around here for a minute, you know China Glaze is like my all-time favorite mainstream brand, and I have been collecting China Glaze polishes for quite a long time. I think I have somewhere around 400 and 500 bottles of China Glaze. Let me get the exact number because there's a lot of them. Hold on. Oh, okay then. Oops. So you know how I just said I had like 400 or 500? I actually have 712. Damn! Oops. And you see, folks, that's why we have a spreadsheet that has all of the polishes in there, because I'm not gonna remember any of this. So as I'm sure you can guess, if you have 700 plus of something, it would be rather difficult to narrow it down to like a top 10 favorites. I was aiming for a top 12 because the last couple of videos were also top 12s. I got top 15. And I feel very strongly that I did in fact forget something. Out of all of the brands that I personally own, I would say China Glaze is the one that I have the largest amount of that spans the most amount of time. So quite a few of these are going to be a bit more difficult to find than the polishes I mentioned in my last favorites videos. I will link some of my favorite places to find older China Glaze nail polishes in the description box if any of these polishes are of interest to you. But please be aware, quite a few of these are like very fan favorites amongst China Glaze fans, and they're going to be a bit harder to find, and if you can find them, they might be a bit more expensive than you would expect of a China Glaze nail polish. I don't like it either. I feel like vintage nail polishes have gotten very expensive in the past like year, 2 years. Things that I saw in the past go for like $10 and $12 are currently going for like $100, and it truly makes me want to scream. But that is not what this video is about. Talking China Glaze. So let's get started. As with the other ones, I'm going in rainbow order because I love rainbows. And first up, this is actually my favorite China Glaze nail polish of all time. I talk about this on a very regular basis, and that is China Glaze Wish on a Starfish. This polish is a textured polish. It was originally released in the Sea Goddess collection. I think it was 2014. This was a collection of nothing but textured nail polishes. So for Wish on a Starfish, this is a medium pink base with a gold shimmer, and again, it's textured. I absolutely love this polish to pieces. This one took me quite a long time to track down. I actually could not find it in store. As I mentioned in my last favorites video, my agoraphobia was a lot worse at one point in my life, and I really could not leave the house. So tracking down nail polishes was surprisingly difficult when you did not leave the house and didn't buy things online. But yeah, I eventually tracked down my first bottle of Wish on a Starfish. I think that was probably like 2017 maybe, and I have since accumulated 2 more bottles, bringing me to a grand total of 3 bottles. Whereas other polishes that I own multiple bottles of, that like I acknowledge that I don't need multiple bottles. For Wish on a Starfish, however, this is my favorite polish of all time, and I feel like it's completely acceptable for me to have 3 bottles of it.
I said what I said!
This particular bottle, you can't see anymore, but this particular bottle, it's about half empty. I will warn you all now, there are a couple of textured nail polishes amongst these favorites, and if you don't like textured nail polish, then like,
bye bitch.
I can understand for those of you who have like sensory issues with it, but there's something that I find really enjoyable, just like rubbing my finger and like feeling like a texture. Also, if you don't like a full manicure of textured nail polish, I highly recommend doing one textured nail as like an accent nail. I do know for a fact though that this one is gonna be pretty hard to find. The next polish is called Where's the Party Canon At? This was originally released in the My Little Pony collection. So despite me buying a whole lot of China Glaze nail polishes over the years, the My Little Pony collection was actually the very first China Glaze collection that I bought the entire thing, and it was a really big collection at that. I do largely credit the reasoning why I bought this entire collection on the YouTuber TwiStar. TwiStar to me was the one that, like, if TwiStar absolutely loves something, then I had to give it a go, because like I feel like the polishes that TwiStar liked were very similar to the polishes that I liked. And I remember in her video, she did like this cute little nail art with the collection. I told myself I was definitely going to do the cute little nail art.
The lie detective determined that was a lie.
I didn't. I never did it. But honestly, the whole collection is fantastic. But back to Where's the Party Canon At? This is a like a magenta kind of pink base with silver holographic hex glitter. So it's basically, you know, a glitter bomb. The reasoning why I added this one to the favorites is that that particular collection I wore the bejesus out of. There were actually a couple of other polishes in that collection that I was initially going to put on my favorites list, but I ended up just doing just this one. The creams in the My Little Pony collection are major stainers. Those stain my nails so badly. I will admit, in my own China Glaze collection, I wouldn't say that this particular shade is terribly unique. I think that it made it onto my favorites list in part because of how much I've used it. Like, you can't really see the fill line very well because I've been shaking it up, but it has a pretty decent fill line and I've just worn it a lot. I have like fond memories of wearing this particular polish. When this collection came out, I was like actively like really working in therapy. I was really working in therapy to get my agoraphobia and my general anxiety like under control. And I remember like doing gradients and stuff with these collections. So like this was the one that I wore the most out of everything. The next polish is China Glaze I Love Your Guts. If you have been in the nail polish community for like a long time, I feel very confident you have seen at least one Halloween post featuring this polish. I Love Your Guts was originally in the, I think it's The Color of Apocalypse or Apocalypse of Color. Something with apocalypse and color in the name. It is a very popular China Glaze collection. Most of the polishes in that collection I would say are fan favorites. It's a matte red metallic base with these little teeny tiny little black glitters, and it just has this very kind of like meaty I don't know how to describe, like kind of like a meaty like quality to it. I'm not a huge lover of matte polishes in general. I do make an exception for this one. Every time I wear it, I always go back and forth on if I'm going to put a glossy top coat on it. I feel like without glossy top coat, it tends to chip on me pretty quickly, but I feel like it doesn't look quite as spooky with a glossy top coat. I will say I Love Your Guts is one of the polishes that I saw all of the bloggers just like raving about this. JessFace90 here on YouTube, this is one of the polishes that Jess always raved about. Jess is another YouTuber that I watch that like, if Jess says it's great, I'm saying, yeah, it's great. And I would put I Love Your Guts in that category for me, that I picked this one because everyone else said it was fantastic. I feel like this made it onto my favorites list due to nostalgia, because when it originally came out, I could not find it. I only got this one a couple of years ago. And yeah, I feel like this is a really good staple Halloween polish. I keep meaning to do some kind of nail art on top of it to make it extra spooky, but I feel like it is definitely worth the hype. For orange, I pulled out China Glaze's Papa Don't Peach. Okay, so the reason why I pulled this one out is for two reasons. One, because I have worn it a whole lot. This is actually my second bottle of it. And then my second reason is this. I had my first bottle of it. I didn't realize it was like intentionally sheer. I thought it was like, oh, it's a neon, so you have to wear a white base sheer. And I remember like, I kid you not, I wore this in 5 coats on my nails trying to get like to full opacity with it. Oh hell no! And this is a jelly. It is not supposed to get to full opacity. This is like a bright neon reddish orangey base with, guess what, gold glitter. I think it's a mixture of gold glitter and gold shimmer, to be honest. I had initially thought that these might be glass flecks in here, but I looked it up earlier and it's definitely glitter. But it's a really fun, squishy polish. I will say, I remember struggling with it back in the day, but I honestly thought that I struggled with it because like I didn't know how to paint my nails very well back then. Applying it now as like a nail polish veteran.
I'm a professional. This is what I do.
I do feel like the formula on it isn't really that great, but it's definitely passable. But it's a really fun, bright summer color. I remember loving this on my toes. For yellow, this is one of the newer polishes that I have in this bunch, and this one is preserved in amber. This actually came out in the Jurassic World collection, and I actually have a video, swatch and review video for this video up on the channel. I would say the Jurassic World collection was probably like the last collection China Glaze has done in recent history that was like full of the type of polishes that I expect and love from China Glaze. For me, China Glaze has always been like the weird brand, kind of like Sinful Colors. They do things that are a bit more different and odd than I'd say the other mainstream brands do, and that's why I've always liked China Glaze the most. So for Preserved in Amber, this is a goldish orangey, I mean, amber.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
We'll call it amber. This is an amber base that has like this fine shimmer as well as like these larger glitter shreds that are in this like golden color. I feel like I've seen very mixed responses on this one. I do tend to find that the little glitter shreds in here, they do have a tendency to kind of like stick up on your nail, so you might need a couple of layers of top coat to smooth everything out. But I was absolutely in love with how this looked on me. To this day, I still love how this looks. It's just such a pretty, beautiful color. The formula is also pretty good too. I think the only downside to it is that sometimes you get the glitter shreds to stick up a little bit, but I tend to find in general, glitter shreds do tend to stick up on the nail and they dry down texture because, you know, it's glitter. But this is a really fun polish. The collection also was full of a lot of just like fun, weird polishes. I am super hopeful that now that China Glaze has done their little revamp thing, that we will go back to doing some fun things. For my second yellow, we have Mustard the Courage. I think this came out in one of the fall collections that was inspired by like Fashion Week, I think this was. So when Mustard the Courage originally came out, if I'm remembering correctly, this was in a time period of my life when I did not really see the appeal of like colors like this. If I was gonna wear yellow, it was likely either gonna be a neon yellow or like a sunshiny yellow. I did not yet fall down the rabbit hole, which is mustard yellow, and I am very glad that I did. So Mustard the Courage, as you can tell by the name, is a mustard yellow cream. The formula on this one is pretty good. I remember it being a 2-coater. When I was recording the live swatches, I feel like I had a little bit of dark spots in 2 coats. Probably should have done a 3rd, but I figured you guys wouldn't be able to see the dark spots that I was seeing in person, so I only did 2. I feel like shades in this colorway are fantastic as we're coming into fall season. And I know I'm not the biggest seasonal polish wearer, but there are seasons where I will acknowledge, and those seasons generally are gonna be summer and fall is when I'm going to be doing seasonal anything for my nails. I feel like every single favorites video that I have done so far, I have picked out a gold micro glitter polish as a favorite. And I really feel like that really should cement in y'all's head how weak I am when it comes to holographic gold, and also, well, I mean, yeah, that's basically it. There's something about a holographic gold glitter polish that is like an instant buy for me. So yeah, I've got a lot of them. For the, I guess, obligatory gold micro glitter polish, I pulled out Ultamate Holiday. I feel like mainstream brands used to do a lot of store exclusives. Honestly, truly, I actually hate store exclusives.
Hate it, hate it, hate it.
Like, if you're gonna have a collection, either have the whole collection be exclusive to the store. Don't give me a 12-piece collection and then 4 polishes at one store, 4 at another store, and 5 somewhere else. I absolutely hate that kind of thing. So yeah, this particular polish was an Ulta exclusive. I did not actually get this from Ulta. I actually got very, very lucky and found this one online a few years ago. I'll be perfectly honest, this is not a super unique polish to China Glaze's lineup. I largely picked this one up because since I have gotten this one, I have worn this as an accent nail like 4 times already. It got to the point that I was wearing it so many times as an accent nail that I told myself that I needed to wear something else as an accent nail. So I take it that means I like it a lot. I feel like this is probably gonna be one of the more controversial polishes in this bunch, and this one is called Budding Romance. So this particular polish holds a special place in my heart for a number of reasons, in part because my husband technically bought this even though he didn't know what he was buying in that bundle. He just, you know, paid for it. Early on in my YouTube days, I had mentioned in a video, I think I was wearing this polish, it was something or another about this polish, and I had mentioned that my husband calls this one calf scour green. And at the time, I did not know what a calf scour was. I unfortunately looked it up. I don't recommend anybody here looking up to find out what calf scour is, but it's in this color family and I love it. I love this on my nails actually. So whenever I wear this particular polish or anything that looks like it, I always just think of my husband calling it calf scour green. I will say though, the formula of Budding Romance is not as good as I remembered. I don't know if I was having an off day applying it or what, but like this applied horribly for me today. I don't remember it being this, I know it's usually a 3-coater, but I feel like it just did not apply well for me at all for the live swatch. There are definitely polishes out there that have better formulas than this one. I do remember that Budding Romance is a very popular color for China Glaze fans. I think I saw this on eBay going for like $30 at one point last year. So it is a bit harder to find, but you can definitely find similar colors to this. Essie for sure has a polish color that looks really similar to this. It's gonna be a lot easier to find and less expensive to find. And speaking of hard to find China Glaze, we have China Glaze Zombie Zest. China Glaze Zombie Zest came out in the same collection as I Love Your Guts. This is a grungy, like if you had some rotten gunk green. Algae, natural, just like, ugh. This is an color green. I feel like this is a popular China Glaze polish for a reason. It's really, really fun. I do think that Moonshine Manny, I think they did a dupe of it in their Project Dupe It series. I don't remember how similar it actually is, so that's something to keep in mind, because I do tend to find that Zombie Zest is a pretty difficult polish to find if you don't want to break the bank. I don't think these ones count as the glass flecks, but like the little shimmery particles, I think this might count as either a large particle shimmer or a really tiny flake. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I had initially wanted and got this one because of all of the hype. I think I used to have 3 bottles and I think I gave one away in a giveaway. The next polish up, we have Seahorsin Around. This also came out in the same collection as Wish on a Starfish, the Sea Goddess collection. This is like a tealish kind of textured polish, and I think it has the same gold shimmer as Wish on a Starfish, except it looks more greenish because of the base color. When I was finally able to obtain this particular bottle is when I got my first bottle of Wish on a Starfish, and like that was a really sad story because I found someone on eBay selling 3 of the polishes from the Sea Goddess collection, and they swore up and down that the polishes were brand new, never used, never opened, nothing. And when the polishes arrived, they were very clearly had been used, very clearly there was some leakage. And I spent so much time cleaning those bottles up to make the polishes usable. I was really excited for when I got those because they arrived like either on my birthday or the day before my birthday, and it was just like, yay, I got it, woo, it's my birthday. And then like, oh, okay. But this became one of my favorites. I feel like the whole Sea Goddess collection could make it onto my favorites list. Sorry for the dog. I feel like the entirety of the Sea Goddess collection could make it onto my favorites list, but this is the only other one from the collection that made it. Similar to Wish on a Starfish, this is one of the polishes in my collection from China Glaze that I wear on a fairly regular basis. So the next polish is called Grover It. This was in one of the China Glaze Sesame Street collection. I think maybe the winter one. I could be wrong. They did 2 of these and I can never remember which one was in which collection. For Grover It, this is a really like deep blue that I feel like it leans a little bit in the blurple category. I think there's like a very faint shimmer in here as well as holographic glitter. The China Glaze Sesame Street collections were really, really fun. I bought both of those in their entirety. I feel like this particular shade and Monster Piece are probably the ones that I've worn the most from both collections. I feel like going through the polishes in this collection, I feel like you really can see that China Glaze does such a good job on their collaborations. There's quite a few collab shades in my favorites. The next polish that I'm going to be sharing is China Glaze Frostbite. I initially purchased this one because it reminded me of the first nail polish I ever bought back, you know, when I was a kid. Wet n Wild used to be like $1, I think it was. And they had this really beautiful like metallic blue polish that was in stores. I bought it from like CVS, I think. That was the first nail polish that I ever bought in my entire life. I don't have it anymore, sadly. I spilled it all over the carpet of my childhood bedroom. When I saw this particular shade come out, it immediately made me think of that Wet n Wild, and that's why I bought it. You can't really tell, but this one, the fill line is like all the way down here. It's halfway point. I have worn it that many times. This is one of my all-time favorite China Glaze polishes. In general, I would say I am the kind of person who is not generally the biggest fan or lover of metallic shades, but there is something about Frostbite that makes me ignore the fact that I'm not really a huge metallic fan. You don't get like the ugly brush strokes. It's just a super bright, vibrant shade. I actually can't remember which collection this originally came out in. I believe it's now part of their core line. Like this is the old, I have the old butt label on this particular bottle. So I've had this one for quite a long time. So I follow up a really easy to find shade with a hard to find shade. This one here is China Glaze's LOL. This is from the OMG collection. This is the original bottle. For the 10-year anniversary, China Glaze did a re-release of 6 of the polishes from the original OMG collection. Probably one of China Glaze's most popular collections. These were all like linear holographic finishes. The linear holo that China Glaze used for these, the particle size is a lot smaller. It's a very smooth linear holographic. It doesn't quite look the same as a lot of the more modern holographics that we see nowadays. But yeah, this is a purple linear holographic, and I feel like it has like a very slight metallic-y purple. I don't know if it's a shimmer or just what they use as like the purple colorant has a metallic-y vibe to it. I knew I wanted to include at least one of the polishes from the OMG collection, so I opted to go with the one that I've actively worn the most. The entire time that I've had my YouTube channel, I have toyed with the idea of doing swatch and reviews for like old vintage nail polish collections. Would y'all be interested in that? Let me know if you guys think so. Okay, so this next polish, I don't know what color this is. I feel like I'll tell you 5 different colors depending on the day, and this one is called Cowboy Bye. This is another one of the polishes that is it's a bit more difficult to find nowadays. Moonshine Manny does have a dupe of it. Again, I don't know how similar it actually is. I did not purchase that one because I told myself I can't be buying all of the Moonshine Manny dupes to compare them to the original polishes because that is kind of crazy. I'll call it like a blackened blue, a grayish blue with a really strong bronze shimmer as well as holographic glitter. I had to hunt down this particular bottle and it took me quite a long time to get it. So again, it's gonna sound crazy.
I am crazy. But you know what else? I don't give a.
But basically how I was able to obtain this particular bottle, I found someone on eBay. They had like a bundle. It was either 10 or 20 polishes, and like I had owned like half of them already, but the price point that they had for the bundle that included this was still less money than I see people selling this shade on its own. So I bought the bundle and put the polishes I already had for duplicates in the D-stash bin and kept the rest of them. Unfortunately, I tend to find if you want to get a hold of a lot of these kind of vintage nail polishes, and this one's not even that vintage, it's not that old. Like I think it's been less than 10 years that this one's been out. But unfortunately, if you get into the hunt of buying vintage nail polishes, be prepared to be buying bundles. Be prepared to be, you know, buying duplicates of things in order to obtain the one thing. The next polish is another somewhat newer China Glaze. This one is Arctic Confetti. This came out in the Dippin' Dots collab. So I also have a review for this particular collection on my channel. It was one of the first China Glaze videos that I ever did. This is a white glitter crelly with a whole mix of neon glitters. When I had originally swatched this one out, I had fully expected that it was going to go the same way as China Glaze's It's a Trapeze. If you are new to China Glaze, It's a Trapeze came out in the Cirque du Soleil, I think they're called, the Cirque du Soleil collection. And unfortunately, while that one also started out as a white base, it unfortunately turned into clown vomit. Here is a picture of what it looks like. I fully expected Arctic Confetti to have the same problem because I am still completely convinced that the glitter mix used in Arctic Confetti is the same glitter mix used in China Glaze's Point Me to the Party. The glitter in here tinted the base pink, so I was really convinced that either the glitters were going to turn this one pink or it was going to turn that funky green that I mentioned for It's a Trapeze. I am pleasantly surprised to say that this bottle that I got when the collection first came out, it's still white. Every time I look at it, I'm just like,
Why are you white?
so I suppose, yay, China Glaze figured out their issue with like their glitters bleeding. The Dippin' Dots collab was limited edition. I honestly don't know how hard it's going to be tracking this one down. But yeah, I feel like if you shop indie nail polishes, you can for sure find this from like an indie brand. Like wait till summer, you'll see like 20 of these. But from China Glaze, I feel like this is a special one to me because one, I love white glitter crellies. As I mentioned in the last video, I am kind of obsessed with them. I fully acknowledge that for all of these favorites videos videos, I haven't really been pulling out my toppers, and it's largely because my topper polishes are all like in Helmers on this side of the room, and I keep all the rest of my polishes on that side of the room. So when I'm going through the brands for favorites, I'm just going through the brand drawers and I'm not going through the toppers, because the toppers are organized by type and not brand, and it's just like a lot of toppers. I decided to pull out a crackle polish from China Glaze. This one is called Tarnished Gold. It is a gold crackle nail polish. If you know me, you know I love me a crackle nail polish, and you probably figured out by this point, I also really love gold. So this was a no-brainer for me to pick out as far as which crackle from China Glaze to do. China Glaze has done a ton of crackle nail polishes. I have purchased them all. I will say, while you probably won't find these in store, these are still really easy to find online and surprisingly cheap as well. I really love crackle nail polishes. I really keep hoping that crackles will make a comeback. I know Sally Hansen just came out with 4 crackle nail polishes for Halloween. And also, since I have you all here, if anyone knows of a brand that has a gold crackle nail polish that also has holographic, please let me know. I have been on the hunt for a gold crackle with holo for way too long now, and I can't find one, and I really, really want one. Whew, that was a lot of yapping. Where's my drink? There's my drink. Whew. It was so incredibly difficult trying to whittle down my China Glazes from apparently 721 down to 12. Also, let me know what your favorite China Glaze nail polishes are. I hope you guys are liking this favorite series as much as I'm having fun doing the favorite series. Let me know which brand you would like to see me do next. I feel like I've got a couple more brands that I can do favorites on. I think this weekend I'm going to start trying to figure out what I'm going to pick for favorite in color series. Again, my collection is getting real close to 7,000, so I think what I might end up doing for like the color series, I'm either gonna have to break it down by finish, or we're gonna have to go for like 20. One or the other. I think 20. I think I might have to do 20, honestly, per color series. And then I don't even know how I'm gonna do the toppers. Give me some ideas, folks, because like I'm honestly starting to feel panicked at the idea of trying to go through the drawers. Before we end today's video, I do want to give a very special shout out to my channel members. Shenanigans, Story fans, your names of course all on the screen right now. If you would like to sign up for my channel memberships, there is a link for that in the description box. Click join the subscribe button, you know the drill. Also, channel members, we have a members exclusive live stream happening this Friday at 4 p.m. And also, don't forget, channel members, you also get a special area in the Discord. If you have not already, DM me on Discord with your name here on YouTube so I can add you to the members only area. But as always, the membership is completely optional. Just like the video, subscribe, comment, share, you know the drill. So just thank you for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll have a link to the playlist of what's now a series of my favorites, and I will just see you in the next one. Bye!
When I get high, I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Bry. Yeah, I'm headed to the Bucks, then I'm ballin' like yeah.